Well, good evening all. It's small block Chevy Saturday. I think it's the 16th today. Was it March? January, March. Geez, the year is flying as it usually does. Oh yeah, with that new sign. Tell me where I should put it. I don't know if I should put it on the end there, up there. I don't know. Drop us a hint. Send me a text. I don't know. Whatever you do, social media stuff, whatever. Got to work out where to put the bloody thing. Anyway, back to the job. So, small block Chevy, rear crank seal's leaking. All right, not going to see it. Too much dark, too much crap. All right, lucky for the Chevys, these run a rubber seal now. So basically, it's a two-piece seal. So we've got top seal, and then in the crank, the lower housing of the crank, which is at the block, is the second half. All right, very, very simple process. This can be done in the car, but I've got some other things to do to this engine. So obviously favourable to be out at my upside down, easy to get to and all the rest of it. All right, so basically I'm going to punch these bolts out, take number 5 bearing cap off, which is the crank bearing cap. All right, and then we're going to get rid of the old seals, put some new ones in there, a little bit of sealer, bolts back in, tension them up to 70 foot-pound, and the job is that simple. Now, I've got to say, Chevy, rubber seals, unfortunately, Holden's, the V8s, they run a rope seal unless they are modified. So unfortunately, if you have a leaky rope seal on a Holden block, 99% of the time, you're going to have to take the whole crankshaft out because you need to put the rope seal, which is semi-half moon, in the bottom, and then we need to squash it down to a certain inside diameter for the actual boss, or the crank pin boss diameter to fit in there snugly. So one that's not too loose and it seals, and not too tight that it burns the pin on the crank. So basically, you can tap the ends down. So half of one end, we can tap it down and then put a little joiner piece in there. But you know what? Most people know that I'm sort of not a dodgy person. I'll go above and beyond. And above and beyond at minimum is a brand new seal done the right way. All right, so there's too much of a hassle to pull that bloody engine out and put it back in, just based on, will it be okay? I don't work like that. I think everyone knows that. So anyway, let's stop here. I'll bang those bolts out, cap off, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about for those that are unsure on the seal that I am actually talking about. All right, we'll see you in a second. All right, we're back. So I've removed the rear bearing cap, all right, which is number 5. So most blocks you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, very, very common. Now, so this is what we call, we've got a bit of light issue here. So like I said, it's a rubber seal, fortunately, on the Chevys. Very favourable. Now you'll see down here, so this is the seal here, and it's a banana piece. So let's have a look over here. So there it is there, all right? That's what we're changing, okay? This stops the oil from going from inside the engine to the out, but it does have a certain profile where those 2 top lips there, if you can see them, whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, they actually run on the crank journal. All right, so nice and soft. We all like rubber. Rubber's soft, smooth, and beautiful. All right, so does no damage unless it goes hard and brittle, and it's an age thing, like some of us, I suppose. Anyway, back to the job. So you'll see here, the part of the lip seal here. All right, see how I can bend it backwards? See that? The reason we call this an inverted single lip seal is because inside engines, transmissions, power steering boxes, anything where there's a build-up in pressure, with the engine, it's a very low pressure. We call it crankcase pressure. So we have blow-by from the piston rings. And when we have a worn engine, worn piston rings, we're going to have a lot of compression bypass, which builds up inside the engine block, and it wants to go somewhere, all right? And generally the first places it goes is anywhere where there's a bloody seal. So whether it's a sump gasket, front seal, rocker cover gaskets, all right, I rest my case, any seal. But being some good engineers that they were years ago, if we have a build-up of pressure behind the lip here on that seal, what's it want to do? So we've got that surface area here, this open void. Now, when pressure builds up behind there, what happens is it puts a little bit of pressure on this seal lip and compresses it harder on the crankshaft. All right, so you can see where it runs here. This is a little bit worn, but it's still going to be fine, right? So rope seals, much different. There's nothing stopping the oil get pushed out and through to the back, and then it drips down the bottom of the sump and then onto your engine cross member in the car, etc., etc., and then on the floor. Nice big drip, okay? So lip seals, always favourable, and you can only really fit them one way, because if we had this the other way, what do you think might happen? Yes, that's right. It's going to let the oil go through from one end to the other in a matter of seconds, or crankshaft rotations. All right, anyway, I am going to pull this seal out, this half moon. All right, whoop, camera. All right, I'll pull that out. I'm going to put a new one in, and I'll show you the little tool to do that, and we'll come back. See you in a minute. All right, I'm back. I've dislodged the seal, but I'm going to show you guys how I take it out. It's quite simple. Just use some long nose pliers. Just grab a good hold, try and keep it away from the crank, you don't want to damage it, and look at that, it's so easy. We pull it out, it's banana shape, so sort of go with the shape of the crank, and then we have it. Okay, very simple. All right, I'm going to take the one out of here. I'm going to clean everything up. I'll put the new one in, I'll show you how to do that, and there's a tool in here we use so we don't damage the new seal, because the casting on the block in these corners is razor sharp. So the worst thing you want is to put a brand new rubber seal in there and you don't know, but while you're pulling that in, it basically just tears the crap out of that seal, and you don't see it because you think you've got it in, but on the bottom side we got damage. All right, and unfortunately the only way you're going to find that out is when you start the engine. All right, very disappointing. Tell me how I know. All right, I'll be back. All right, back again. All right, so I've set this up. So I did show you this little special nylon tool. All it is, it just looks like a tube of grease with a head on it. And what we're doing is we're putting that down in the corner of the block. All right, so right down in the corner here, because those edges are super sharp. Okay, and quite simply, we just spin this around. All right, I'll try and get out the shade here. All right, we're going to turn this seal. So see how I can push it in there? See that? So we just turn it in around the motor. No damage to that seal whatsoever. And, do you see it? Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? There it is. There it is. All right. And what I do is I don't come flush. All right. So some people, engine builders, they go flush. All right. So see there. See how it's come nice and flush with the block? And if we take this one out here, there it is. All right. Have a look. Let's put that in the bin. There we go. And you'll see this side here is flush. Well, the problem with that is we put a dab of grease here. Silicon sealer, and one on the other side. So when we put this cap back on and tension the bolts, that should seal. However, what I do is I push these seals down just a little bit, probably about, I'm going to say 1/16 of an inch here. I'll just get my little doodle lackey, if I can find it. It's here. All right, so nice and gently, I push it down. Oh God, down, prices are down. All right, so you'll kind of see how much you push it down on one side, it's going to protrude on the other side. So I've probably gone a little bit too far here. That to me is about 10 mil, believe it or not. Oh yeah, so we'll push it down, generally about 1/16 of an inch. About there, perfect. So what happens then is when we put the cap on, the seal, the opposing seal end on the cap will go down into the block here, and this end of this block side seal will go 1/16 of an inch up into the cap. So you actually have full 100% sealing. I'll still put a tiny dab of sealant here, but we know that it's going to be 100%. All right. Rubber seals, always pre-lube with oil. If the engine's not going to be started for quite a while, Just put some lithium grease or something on there, nothing nasty. Any grease will do. There's no grease that's going to affect the quality of these Felpro seals, and it doesn't have to be Felpro seal. All the other seals are made of pretty much the same composition. So anyway, all right. Just a note, if you're taking a block out engine to do a rear seal, you basically want to check the other stuff as well. Just the basics. Like I always pull off a main cap and I'll do a bearing clearance, so an oil clearance, and just see if there's any wear on the bearings. Because if you've got a job where you're just doing a simple seal and then you put this in and a couple months later you've got a failure, and the customer turns around and said, oh, did you just check the bearings, or did you have a quick health condition check of the block? And you say no. Well, I know that's probably how it works a lot these days. I've heard it. That's not how I was taught 30 plus years ago, and it's a no-brainer. Okay, so I have gone over this engine for the guy. Great guy that he is. So I found the timing chain was slacker than some of the people I've worked in the past, and a few other little things that I found which we're going to address, but we're going to make this engine beautiful again. And it wasn't that many years ago, after I checked the bearing clearances, there was actually probably about 1% wear. So this engine has really done no work at all. So it's just all its rubber seals that have deteriorated over the time, that it's been sitting around. So engine bores are like new. This, you can see, you can't see in there. It's a bit hard. I haven't got a light on me. But down in the piston bores, the mother bore, you can still see a very solid crosshatch, which is, evident to say that she's in bloody good nick. All right, so I'm going to put this together. I'll come back right at the end to show you with the oil pump and everything on there. And that's pretty much this video. Quite a simple one, but that's how we remove and install these. Rope seals, I've got a couple of 308s to do soon. So what I'll do is I'll show you how to install a rope seal, because it basically takes about, to do it properly is about 2 hours, all right? I'm a little bit overkill there, I guess, but I like to check, and I actually made and machined a dolly, a round aluminium dolly, that basically simulates the diameter of the crank pin or the journal, so that I can form that rope seal and cut it to the absolute perfect size. And I've never had one leak. I've probably done, be 40 plus 308s now, 253s. And the Fords, they have a bit of a rope seal too on some of them. So yeah, all saying the same, but you've got to do it right the first time, because I can tell you what, it sucks if you've got to pull this back out of one of those just to do all this again. All right, so I'll be back shortly and you'll see the final product. Righto guys, ta-da. All right, we're back. So rear main bearing cap is back on. Oil pump is on. Main cap bolts torqued to 75 foot-pound. Oil pump bolt to 65 foot-pound. And we have a torque mark. People need to understand the importance of a torque mark. All right, so all it takes is for something to happen. It could be an emergency situation. You got to run to the toilet. Who knows? If you're tensioning a gazillion bolts and you don't mark them, when you come back, how do you know which one you've done? You got to use your brain, and you have to tension them all again just to double check. But if you do it a mark, you know straight away visually you've done it. All right. It's a very, very simple process, and it can save so much unnecessary waste of time. All right, so we're done there. I've got a few beautiful parts to put on here. Got a lovely Edelbrock, all right, air gap manifold. Actually, sorry, no, I lied. This one's a Performer, no air gap. All right, new sump, good Felpro one-piece rubber seals. These are the only ones that I use. Cork, straight over the shoulder. Not interested. And what we're going to do with this one is I like these lovely, lovely two-piece timing cover kits. So you guys that have changed cams before would remember that when you're changing your cam and putting your gears on and off, you obviously need to take your cover off. But then you've got to break the seal down the bottom where the sump gasket goes. So you're doing this in situ in the car. Now, problem is, when you break the bottom there, the bottom seal, which will be on the front, bottom here, okay? So we look at the pan side, we're talking here, all right? Then basically, seals break, gaskets break, and you got to punch a lot of silicone in there when you put it all back together to make sure it doesn't leak. I've done that plenty of times, never had an issue. Like I said, it all comes back to using initiative, but there's processes in place and performance parts to eliminate the hazard, and check that out. Look at that. So this is a two-piece set. So basically you bolt this to the block, and then it's sitting in situ in the sump, sealing where it should, okay? So if you want to change your cam, and basically you take a few little bolties out, and you don't have to touch the sump seal where it joins up, all right? You just take your bolts out, bang, straight off. You do not have to do anything here and disturb anything. Great. For another, I think about another 60 bucks, it really is a no-brainer, okay? So, she's going to get that loveliness. The Fryer's fingers on there. Comes with a nice little kit actually, it's an Edelbrock, alright, so it comes with nice countersunk screws, timing reference, we all need that. To do it obviously properly, you'll need to use a dial or cam gear, cam wheel, but generally for just stocky engines, these marks are pretty close, alright, so she's a cruiser. Alright, well, I'm going to get into it and put this baby together, because then it's got to go into that. And I've got a lot of other work to do to that thing, so time's running out. God, it's nearly Easter already. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys another day. Be good, and we'll touch base soon with something else. Righto, cheerio. Catch you later.